Hey guys, welcome to another tutorial. In this video, we're going to take a closer look at Silkypix partial correction tool. I think I haven't paid enough attention to that particular tool because I'm really a minimalist guy. I kind of try to do everything in one go globally, and I barely change anything locally. I mean, unless I necessarily really have to. But I think Silkypix developers partial correction tool is phenomenal. Let me jump into the tutorial right now and let me show you how that thing works. So I'm going to open it right now. This is the partial correction tool. So what I'm going to do, because everything is fine so far, white balance is fine, exposure is fine, color is fine. So I'm going to turn off everything because it's a TIFF file anyway, it's not a raw file, so I don't need to fix anything. So I'm going to close all the unnecessary tabs and have some workspace so that I can exactly show you how this thing works. In partial correction tool, you have 5 ways to add mask. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Now I'm going to add all the mask just to demonstrate how whole thing works. So starting with the circular correction filter. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to just add a circular right there. What it does, automatically it adds like a brightness just to show you exactly the area of your mask. Now of course you can turn this on off all the way down, just like that. You don't see it anymore. In order to see that mask, you can always add this thing, emphasize partial correction filter areas. What it does, you click it and now you can see exactly where the mask is. Pretty easy peasy, Japanesey, sorry. Now, of course, you can later add mask, obviously. So we're gonna get into it later. I'm gonna turn this one off anyway. And then what I'm going to do, I'm going to add this add gradual correction filter. So beam, there you go. Again, as usual, it added like a little bit of brightness to show you your area of mask. I'm going to turn this one on and put it at the bottom. Like there, should be fine right there. Turn this one off. Now I'm not going to do any kind of cut here, so prepare to have like a bit of a long pause, but bear with me because it will be worth it, because I will be explaining, let's say, almost everything. Now third one is add new brush. So this is the typical brush that you would imagine anywhere, including DxO, Photolab, or Capture One Pro, or Photoshop, Lightroom, and so on. So I'm gonna add a brush here. Maybe, you know, maybe here. That should do, I would say. There you go. That, and I'm going to turn this one off. Now, fourth one, it's pretty much the same as the first one, the circular correction, but here it's more like works like a curve. So I'm going to add a curve here. Let's see, we're gonna do that right now. 1. So it's gonna add like a nice little round curve. So I'm gonna double click it. So you have to double click in order to release the mask, right? So I'm gonna turn this one off too. And finally, this is my personal favorite, polygon tool, because this is similar to the curve mask, but you have more freedom. I use that a lot every time I use it, because you know, not everything is round in life. You know, time to time you need to go to a different direction, and this helps. So I'm going to add this polygon. What I'm going to do this time, I'm going to take advantage of the whole other space. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Because the reason why I'm doing this, because I want you to see exactly some specific tool that I really personally like in this partial correction tool. I'm gonna get into that later. And close it up just there and double click it, and you have this tool. You can see that even though the mask is there, but it's going a little bit far. It's due to the feather. Of course, you can control it by reducing it like that, make it like a really precise, or you can add some more feather. I'm gonna leave it default, and then we're gonna get into that later. One at a time, and all gone. Now here's the thing. Now you added so many masks here. How you can see it exactly? So as I said, you can click this tool, emphasize partial correction filter areas, and it will show all the masks all at a time. Pretty easy. So you can actually go one at a time and change it. And The second one, the filter area, this is where it shows all of your mask. So I added all the 5, it showed me all the 5, of course. And then if you have the similar type of mask in different areas, of course you can have brush area 1, brush area 2, brush area 3, you know, so on and so forth. I think you get the idea already. Now you can go to each of them and enable and disable. So this is disabled. Now we can enable it. What I can do also, you can invert it. So you have the mask selected, we're gonna try something else. We're gonna try to go to, let's say, the curve area, for instance. So you're gonna go that. And now if you click invert, so as you can clearly imagine, it just basically did opposite of what it did originally. Very, very useful tool. I personally use it a lot as well. The feather, you can actually control the feather later, except the brush. For instance, we're gonna go to the brush area 1, but you don't have anything. Both of them are disabled, feather and brush area. So unfortunately, you cannot modify your feather after you added brush. So you have to do it prior. So if I click the brush area again, and then if I move it back and forth, you can see that is the feather is moving right there. Same goes with the brush size. You can go as big as you want, you can go as small as you want. I'm not gonna brush it again anyway, doesn't really matter. I'm actually going to show you how the rubber works. So if you have the brush and if you brushed it, let's say here, now you want to get rid of it, you can add this brush eraser and brush it off completely. Pretty easy. Or you can add more brush with a plus, add brush in the select area. So basically, suppose you have many brushes, like, so let's say you click the brush and you want to brush here, but then this is not the only place you want to brush, you want to add more brush in different area. So you can add brush to the selected filter area, click it and keep adding brush wherever you prefer, you know, sky's the limit. But it does the same effect. So every time now on, you click it to get rid of it. Now you have brushes in different areas. Now you can control all at the same time. Super duper easy, right? Now, of course, again, I'm going to show you, you can either get rid of it with the eraser, or if you want to just completely delete the brush or mask, any kind, you just, you know, unselect the brush eraser and click this bin and get rid of the selected brush. Now it's all gone. But if you want to get rid of all the masks, like basically reset button, you can click this one and it shows delete all the filter areas. So it get rid of all the brushes all at the same time, and you can start all over again. Now after that, you know, I think you get the memo already. So if you go for example, curve area and want to control, let's say, hue, so you can control the hue, for instance, you change it completely and it change global hue at the same time. You can also control the saturation of the selected area, back and forth. I'm going to go all the way down, so it kind of controlled or reduced the saturation of the selected area. Then if you, let's say, that is going way too outside of your selected zone, you want to reduce it, you can control the feather like that, and you can clearly see that it's now more concentrated inside the area. Very, very convenient. And pretty much all the brush works exactly the same way though. So I'm not going to repeatedly show you exactly the same thing over and over again, because I've got something else for you. Lightness, it's the brightness, contrast, you get the idea. You can go to the color zone, and we're going to get to that later. What I'm going to do, I'm going to show you white balance adjustment. So just like the global white balance adjustment right there, this one. So this one and that one next to each other, they both do exactly the same thing. Now we get the idea. This one does globally of everything. So I'm going to do that anyway, just for the sake of example. So it's changing everything globally. So I'm going to reset it. Now this one will do exactly where you added your mask. So I'm gonna just add red, and it only worked on the area you have masked. How cool is it? So I'm going to get rid of it again. Now I'm going to change the mask area to something else just to demonstrate something, another tool. So I'm going to go to the circular correction filter. So this is here, right there. If you don't see it, again, you can click it. It shows all the mask. Now, what you can do, third one, it says effect. This is amazing because you can blur certain areas. For instance, there I want to blur this spot. For whatever reason, I want to add some blur. So you can just go and add some blur. Now, interestingly, now if you click invert, it only saves the area that you have masked but blur everything else. Now, why would you do that? You can actually use that polygon tool and add some beautiful background blur. You can use one of those toy effects that you've been seeing over and over again in many places. You can do many things. Point is, you can do so much with that particular tool if you want to. Up to you. So I'm going to uninvert it. Now you get basically all the idea. So you have all those brush, and if you follow step by step what I've showed you, you already get the idea how to use it. Now I'm going to get to the fun part. In order to show you the fun part, I'm going to change the curve, the mask, to polygon area. So this is where we added our original polygon area. Remember? I'm going to show you now. There you go. Now, what if you want to change or convert a color and brightness of a particular color zone? Now, it doesn't sound very clear, does it? Now, remember this fine color controller right there? Now, of course, you get the fine color controller, you know exactly what it is. It is basically the HSL tool. You can, let's say, want to change or modify the brightness, saturation, or hue of certain color. You can do that with the fine color controller tool. Suppose you're going to do that with blue, for instance, this area. Or if you want to pinpoint, you can just click the cursor and it will show you exactly what is it. So here, for example, this one right there, I'm going to zoom in a little bit so they can see it and put it next to it. Now, if you want to change the blue zone, you could actually click one of the tool or put the cursor and change whatever you want to do. Let's say you want to change the hue. You can clearly see the hue has been changed. Or you want to change, add or reduce saturation. I'm going to add saturation all the way up so they can see the change. You can see the change now. You want to reduce the saturation. You can see the change now. It took away saturation of all the blue zone, more or less in this zone. Or, of course, if you want to add lightness or brightness, I'm going to reduce the lightness of all the blue, or in that particular zone, you can do that. Or add lightness, you can do that. I'm going to show you the same effect with the green zone. So I'm going to reset it, go to the yellow right there. And then if I want to change the hue to a little bit blue, you can see that it's changed. If I go backward to orange, it changed. But it's affecting everything here. Not just that, everything. Now, you want to avoid that, right? You want to avoid that. You say, hey, I just don't want anything else in the picture to be affected, only where I want. How we can do that? So now, remember we added this polygon zone in this blue, green, red, yellow, and white zone, right? Now, what if you want to affect this particular green right there without affecting other greens? For example, this one, or a little bit yellow. Super duper easy. So you can select this particular tool, click on it. You can see that it's changed. And how we want to verify it? See that little tool is said preview of the selected color. Click it. It shows exactly where you added your mask. This is freaking awesome. Probably one of the best tool I've ever used. Only this kind of thing you can only see it in serious software like Capture One or Lightroom. Now you have it here. Or let's say it, let's change it, right? Let's change the color to something else. For example, this one, the red zone. You are saying that, okay, this red is next to each other, right? I'm going to turn this on off so to see it. So it's next to each other. Now you want to affect the red, this one, without affecting the one next to it. How we can do that? First of all, you have to concentrate the mask. So remember the feather was really little bit outside. I'm gonna turn on. You can see that it's a little bit outside, right? So I'm gonna turn off and make the feather all the way to 0. Now go back to the tool, select the color select tool, click this one, check this one out, the magic. Now if I turn down the saturation, it is only affecting this. Whoa! I mean, I think you got the memo already. So I'm gonna bring it back. What if I just want to change the lightness? Beam. Now I want you to pay really close attention. So I'm going to zoom in a little bit more. Now at this point, I reduced the saturation all the way down. So our red now became colorless. Now if you now change the feather to original 50, it's gonna affect the red next to it. See that? It's changing. More. If you add more feather, it's gonna go all the way up. Again, I'm going to zoom in quite a bit for you. So I'm gonna reduce the feather to 50. Now going down all over again. You can see that it started to change. So in order to have the best effect, I'm going to go to all the way 0. Now it's only affecting whatever inside this mask zone. Damn, this is good. Now you got the idea. Now I'm going to go back to our original saturation to bring the color back. I'm going to demonstrate one last time with the color selection tool. Select the yellow. For example, it's like a kind of yellow. I don't think it's the perfect yellow. And double check with this tool. Change the saturation all the way down. Click back and it's gone. Now here is the part that, see that hue, you can change the hue to something else. So that means that right now it's yellow. Now you want to change the hue of that to, who knows, maybe red. Let's do that. Why don't we do that? So I'm going to bring it back to saturation, original saturation, change the hue to something else. So what it did, manually trying to select the color in this zone, which doesn't exist. But you can see the little bit of artifact, obviously, but ignore that. Now you're trying to look for whatever color inside that box. So you have the red, remember? So you're going to go there a little bit slowly. And now we can manually select the color. Now we're gonna go back to our original color, which was yellow. And also it selected whatever at the bottom right there, because this is also somehow in the yellow zone. It has a yellow channel and of course inside. So you can exactly see where it is going to affect. Now, if you want to make it even more concentrated, you have the range. Now what exactly it does. I'm not going to tell you. I'm going to go down to 1. What's happening? It's even concentrating the yellow even more. If you remember the color wheel, inside the color wheel, it somehow HSL kind of goes back and forth a little bit to the blue zone and a little bit to the green zone. And you have to fine tune it. So range, you're saying the Silkypix Developer Studio Pro to really concentrate of the absolute yellow. Or let's say, you know what, I'm gonna go a little bit outside. So if you add a little bit more than it's showing, it will go upside the yellow even more towards, who knows, to either green or to red. I'm gonna go all the way to 180 to show you exactly what happens. So now you're saying that it's going to certainly affect the yellow, no doubt, but it's also somehow going to touch the red and the green zone. But not too much. As you can clearly see, it's not really red or really green, but it's touching somewhat the color. So this is what the range does. So if you are confused, if you want to know exactly where it's affecting, you can always turn this tool on, play with your range and play with your hue, and then you can do whatever you want. Now I'm going to demonstrate the effect of it one more time. So we are in the yellow zone, right? Now I'm going to reduce saturation, not too much, just a little bit. So that is our step number 1. So you kind of see that became black and white right there as well, not just there. Now you can also change your white balance adjustment doing that. So I'm gonna go to, let's say, a little bit red. So somehow it added a little bit of red in the yellow channel. Also, just for fun, I'm going to add some blur only in the yellow channel. So you can do that, and only affecting the blur in the yellow channel, all the yellow channel, nothing else. The red is not being touched, anything else not been touched, but anything on the yellow channel is being affected with our blur. So yeah, I've been reading many forums in different photography forums, and they say the Silkypix Developer Studio Pro's partial correction tool is not that strong enough. I never understood that statement. Never. What the hell does it mean? This is exactly what you can do with partial corrections tool in Silkypix Developer Studio Pro, and that's not even enough. So to me, those who disagree with the power of Silkypix Developer Studio Pro, specifically the partial correction tool, saying that it's not good enough, clearly I demonstrated that whether or not it's good enough or not. Hope this tutorial has been very helpful to you. If so, like and subscribe. And please do share this video to those who have some doubt or questions regarding Silkypix Developer Studio Pro partial correction tool. And definitely look after yourself. I see you next time. Bye bye.